Coach, I know Bryce Young's hard to corral, but you got a lot of pressure on him from time to time. What was the key to that?
Yeah, we obviously respect him, as a football player. We knew if, he played, he was going to be a handful, and obviously he was. But, to be totally honest with you, everything we do, it starts with pressure, and we went into this game with the same mindset. We wanted to be able to attack and, whether it was just with our front four or whether we're bringing five, we wanted to make sure that we tried to make him uncomfortable if we could. And he obviously made some plays, but obviously we made some as well. But, our hats offered to him, tremendous player, and he obviously did a great job.
Rob, then Adam.
Coach, halfway through the year, you've been the second best rush defense in the league, one of the best in the country. Did you see that coming with this group, and what's led to you being that successful in stopping the run?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I know it's gonna be cliche. I very rarely even look at our stats, so I didn't know. I know philosophically, we definitely want to be able to, stop the run, and just the way we're built, the way the players in which we're playing with, they understand their gap responsibility, whether it's our front four, our linebackers, or our safeties are getting involved. But, we can't allow teams to be able to throw it, run it. It just makes us uncomfortable, so to speak. So we want to make sure that, we're taking something away. And so far, we've obviously been pretty good at taking away the run. So that's a good stat to hear, but the reality of it is, we know we got a long season and we got to continue to get better.
Especially early on in games, and certainly in this game, you guys are bringing pressure immediately, as you mentioned, and then the offense is scoring quickly. You guys are bringing pressure again. It seems to create this sort of rushed mentality with the opponent. I'm curious to know how intentional that is, the partnership between the offense and the defense, to create that panic a little bit.
Yeah. I think the reality for us is, again, I think it just starts with our philosophy. We want to play fast. We want to be aggressive. We obviously want to be physical. And, it just so happens, that, our offense plays with that type of same, mentality on offense. And I guess what you're describing is, we're playing with the same, type of culture on defense. So it's great if it makes the other opponents uncomfortable, but is it by design? Yeah, if that's what's working. But the reality of it is, it's just kind of who we are, and it's in our DNA. We want to be as aggressive as we can, and hopefully, make the opponent uncomfortable.
Coach, over here in the secondary, you're playing all kinds of parts in different places. When you went back and watched it, how impressed were you with some guys who had not played a lot that got thrown into the fire like that? And then the second question, too, how impressed are you with your defense in a sudden change situation? Because you haven't had many of those opportunities. You had one on Saturday and obviously got off the field.
Yeah, definitely excited about, the next man up mentality, because we talk about it a lot, right? I think every coach in the country kind of talks about it. But, we definitely try to live by that mantra. We also talk about you get what you earn. And, a lot of those guys who had an opportunity in the secondary to play, have been working really, really hard, throughout the, camp and obviously the season. And it was just so happened, this was the game that, those guys had to play, a lion's share of the reps. And, yeah, I'm extremely proud, because I know how hard those guys work, and the fact that they went in there, they didn't blink, is a testimony to, again, the culture that we have in place right now in terms of, guys just being ready when their name is called. And, I thought that came to fruition, obviously Saturday. The second part of it, we pride ourselves in any time we take the field, trying to, put the fire out, so to speak. And, obviously playing, a great team in which we were playing, having a chance to go out there and, put the fire out was great to see those guys stand tall.
Certainly the opponent was a consideration in some of the success that they had against your defense, especially in the past game. But what are some things you want to get cleaned up and corrected with your secondary?
Yeah, well, I think it's the defensive whole. I think, like I tell guys all the time, like he asked a question about the run defense, that's not a product of just the front nor just the linebackers. It's a product of everybody. What we ask the DBs to have to do, what we ask the linebackers and D-line, gives us the ability to play great run defense. Conversely, it's the same thing in pass defense. It's the front four, it's the linebackers being where they need to be, and it's obviously the DBs as well. So there are numerous things, that we have to get better at. obviously when he breaks contain, making sure we're taking the proper angles that way, continuing to finish when the ball's in the air. But that's football. We work on those things every week, and I've definitely seen some progress, but we realize we're still a work in progress overall.
Coach, you talked about the secondary having a next man up mentality. With Danico Slaughter, he went in there for Jalen, who's started 30-plus games in his career. How do you think he did? And for a guy that's played a lot of star, kind of been more of a safety this year, could you talk about his progression just leading up to this past game?
Nico is one of the guys that, we're extremely proud of, just again, because of how hard he works. He never complains. When he gets his opportunity, he goes in and he produces. One of the things that I think is one of his strengths, he's very versatile. I think you mentioned, he's played star. We even played him at corner during the spring. He's played both safety spots. And like I tell guys all the time, the more you can do, the more value you bring. And he's extremely valuable for us right now because he's a plug-and-play player. Really, it doesn't matter what position, so to speak. How did he play? He showed some flashes. He did some really good things. I think he'll be the first one to tell you it's obviously some things he needs to do better. But the good news with him is I know he's going to work toward it, and I think he'll be even better for the experience that he got, this past weekend.
Where did that Jeremy Banks performance rank in your 2 years that you've been with him? It just seemed like he was all over the field from the moment the game started to the end of the game.
Yeah, honestly, it was just, Banks being Banks. He plays extremely hard. He hustles to the ball every single snap. He's just one of those guys that you have to slow him down, then speed him up. And, when you have that type of mentality, typically he's more right than he is wrong. So we're always proud of Jeremy. We know exactly what we're going to get in terms of effort and, physicality. And, at this point, there are obviously still some things he knows he needs to work on to get cleaned up. But, we were obviously pleased with, how hard he played this weekend.
What have you seen out of UT Martin's offense in their passing attack?
Yeah, they're very versatile, in terms of, what they're doing. They have some elements of the team that we just saw this past weekend, and I think they also have some elements in their throw game in terms of what our offense does. So their scheme is very good. I like their quarterback. He's very savvy. He's made a lot of plays for those guys, and, they got good skills. So, again, like we tell guys all the time, we don't take anybody lightly. We know these guys are going to come in ready to play, and, we're working extremely hard to make sure that we're ready to play as well. And, I got a lot of confidence in our guys and the maturity that we have and the leadership that we have. And, we know we'll get their best effort, and they're going to get our best effort as well. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right.